perspective, is a very good thing because it's going to make Mexico more, it's going to create a development of a local industry in the oil and gas sector, because in the past we don't have that culture. We only had Pemex, and service companies were just accustomed and used to work with Pemex. So that is changing tremendously right now. It's a migrating culture, definitely. But the local content requirement, if it's reasonable, I think it can be a very good thing, because you are forcing the companies to hire Mexican companies or Mexican talent or Mexican skills, or not skills, but Mexican goods, Mexican labor. And it might be a challenge, but it's a thing that is worth it. Now, do you see as an opportunity for companies, for service companies, for international companies to work in Mexico? Because you can bring your expertise to Mexico, and you can, with that, help the operators to comply with that goal set for by the Mexican government. So it's definitely an opportunity, but I want to hear more from your perspective.
I think you said it well. It absolutely is a critical component, but it's got to be reasonable. If on the first day I'm required to have 60 or 70% local content, and the capacity within the society is not available, it makes it impossible to efficiently run a business. So having a reasonable amount of local content requirement, frankly, I don't even think it would need to be absorbed or enforced, because most companies would say, look, the efficiency of having expats fly all over the world, having work done and ship equipment all over the world, that efficiency, that's not necessarily an efficient way to do it. It's one thing to ship something from fabricated in San Antonio through Eagle Pass to Via this neighborhood. It's not that complicated. But if you're shipping something built in Calgary, Canada, to Villahermosa, it's complicated. There's difficulties. There's several borders to pass. There's all sorts of different things. Especially if you're going by truck, now you have state borders to go through, and road issues, etc. So every responsible company is going to look at it to say, how can I do this most efficiently? And if the more I can do local, the more I can centralize in that local area, the more efficient ultimately I'm going to become. So I absolutely agree. The challenge that the government and the regulator is going to have is, what level of local content do I start with? I need to look at the capacity of the society to begin with to see, do I have that capability today? If not, how do I, as part of that local content requirement, how do I help build that capacity? Because it's not simply going to be the issue of the producer. It's not going to simply be the issue of the service provider. We don't have the influence on local education systems. We don't have influence on the local society to say, this is the direction you need to go. That has to come from within the country. So I absolutely agree the local content is important. I absolutely agree it needs to be reasonable. But it needs to be reasonable with the focus from internally in the country to say, how do we help build that capacity? And it can't be thrown at the feet of Mr. Exxon or Mr. Chevron. You build out schools, you build the hospitals, you manage that. That's not our business. We would certainly like to help on that because we see the benefit for everybody, but it needs to come from internal. Is that a fair statement? Do you have anything to add?